The EU NSA project is strengthening the capacity of non-state actors to improve FLEX and VPA processes in West Africa. In Ghana, it's between NDF and Chopping Boss, working in over 50 communities.
First, the project is trying to use advocacy, independent forest monitoring, and capacity building as an integrated approach towards addressing issues relating to the forest value chain.
Anytime be an do a real, what is a chainsaw of one a mouth forest, what is a machine soon, and I say Uncle Phobia Tremont who say, or more illegal for I was a follow on money or connect capture information.
In Tiana, Tayatri, say a boy, not a nema no abeto forest.
The monitors have an Android phone with a Collector application on it, where they use the application to raise alert on infractions.
Then we in turn come out with strategies, whether we do a follow-up at the community level or we come out with strategies as to how to advocate for certain change based on the alerts that have come.
We review our laws and realize that we can't manage the reserves without the involvement of the communities. And if they are involved, what are their benefits?
And they are for Burma. On better no many soon, I feel no many
Within the first 3 years phase of the project, we have as many as 32 communities receiving social responsibility agreements.
A community like Bedi is benefiting from this clinic, which is being constructed in partnership with John Bitar Company, which is JCM, who are the main logging company in the Suhuma Forest Reserve.
Since NDF came, Forest Commission, community, and the District Assembly have been working hand in hand in order to support the revamping of the forest.
We want to see a community that is empowered, that has a voice in terms of national space in shaping policies and discussing issues pertinent to our forest management. And that is the future that we envisage.
So interestingly, these forests are quick sources of making profit. And so don't get surprised when you see the extent to which devastation has been done to them, because it's quick enough. You get to cut or fell a tree and you are sending it to someone, paying the people. It's a chain, it's a full chain. The transport from wherever it's felled, all through to where it's sold, and other activities, illegal mining, every other thing in there. Today, let's talk about what the civil service organizations have been doing and how they can empower the communities more, because it's time. Because I believe the political class and those who must enforce these laws have failed woefully. Thanks very much for joining us again. I am excited that you're doing this. Let's start off with this. What have you found? And again, what's the whole monitoring issue about? How have you done it? Let's educate our viewers.
Okay, so this project is called the Non-State Actors Project, and it's funded by the European Union.
Right.
Like I said in the video, it's between Chopping Boss Ghana and Nature and Development Foundation that are operating in Ghana. But it's across West Africa, so we have other organizations in Liberia and Cote d'Ivoire who are doing the same thing. Now in Ghana, this is what we did. We teamed up, these two organizations teamed up with about 6 other organizations, CSOs, that's civil society organizations in Ghana, to form what we call the Civil Society-led Independent Forest Monitoring Platform, short form of CSIFM. Now this includes other organizations that all have other aspects of forest monitoring in their activities.
Okay.
So we came together and said, guys, this is what is happening to our forests. Now it becomes sort of work fatigue for about 8-10 organizations to always be going to Forestry Commission over and over again over the same thing. It also causes them to lose focus of their mandate. So we came together as a body to engage with Forestry Commission. Now this is what we did. We said, okay, let's find a forest monitoring tool, very easy one, that monitors can use to report infractions on what is happening in the forest. Besides, it is their forest. They are the ones living in it and beside it. So most of us employ what we call the real-time monitoring for forest monitoring platform tool. Now, what this thing does is there are forms on the platform on an Android phone.
Right.
Any monitor can use it. In fact, at my last capacity building exercise, they expressed how easy it is to use the tool. Questions, you just go on your phone. What are you reporting? Is it a transportation illegality? What is it about? Because the transport law says that transportation should happen between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Any other time after that is an illegality.
Sure.
So if you are reporting a transportation illegality, was it between these times or after these times?
Right.
You put in what it is, it takes your GPS location, quickly it hits a platform.
Okay.
And everybody on that platform, including civil society organizations, Forestry Commission, and anybody can see it. Now, there's another second tier.
Okay.
This is called the verification.
Right.
And this is done by community-based organizations. These ones are in the communities. So they'll go and verify. Because you don't want a situation where we have about 100 alerts from monitors and then we carry everything to Forestry Commission.
Right.
So verifiers come in and then verify. Okay, this alert is true. It actually happened. This is the evidence supporting the alert. Well, this one did not really happen. Probably it was a test alert or it was a mistake or it really does not convey the kind of message the monitor is sending.
Right.
So now that is done. Then we go to the third level. The third level is what we call a control mission or a joint verification with Forestry Commission. Now here is the good part. This project started in 2017 and over time we have engaged with Forestry Commission on this joint verification. And the good thing is Forestry Commission has agreed to join us, or we join them, and then together monitor these infractions that are reported by the monitors in the forest.
I see.
So for me, that is one of the good things we can take from the project.
You seem excited, but
am.
you see, I am not. Let me break it down so that you can help us. So you mentioned 3 people, if you like. Now, let me start off with the people who are monitoring, or those at the level 2. They go to verify. The issue about Africa is greed. It's greed. So instead of, I mean, yes, they know EU NSA could give them something to do this job. But when they get there to verify, they see that exactly there's an illegality happening. But the monies that are being paid to these guys would quickly, and it's about compromise. First of all, the level 2, how do you ensure that these people do not get compromised?
Okay. Thank you very much for this, because this was also one of the things that came up with our discussion with Forestry Commission. So this is why we don't deal with individuals and we are dealing with organizations. So as an organization, you have a mandate to do so and so and so. You signed an agreement with us to do so and so and so. We are supporting the organizations through what we call the sub-grants agreement. This organization comes in the form of allowances to cater for your up and down transport, other costs that you would incur. In addition to that, for every report or alert that a verifier verifies, it comes with your details. So if at the end of the day, during our joint verification with the Forestry Commission, which is the last level, we realize that as an organization or as a verifier, you've put in about 3 reports that are inconsistent or do not really convey the message on the ground, we drop you.
It's just simple as that. Just dropping. After they've taken the monies and done whatever it is?
So what it is you're supposed to take the money and do what you're supposed to do. If you don't do it well, because we are not giving you a 5-year grant. No, it's periodic. Monthly.
All right. Let's go to the next point. The next point is that after ensuring that all of these things are exposed to you, you get to see the illegalities that are being perpetrated in the forests. There must be enforcement.
Right.
I want to ask simply, are you going to help in enforcing, or you leave it at that?
So this is what we do. Our project is on 3 levels.
Right.
1, the monitoring, the engagement, and the advocacy. Now, we believe these 3 together will ensure enforcement, because what we can do from civil society point of view is we do not have that mandate like Forestry Commission or like any other state authority to make laws and enforce the laws. Because for Ghana, the good thing is that we do have the laws. We have everything that is supposed to work.
Everything.
Yes. What is left is with enforcement, which comes from the side of state authorities or bodies that have the authority to do so. So what we do is we build the capacity of the people.
Right.
Like, look, as a forest fringe community, if you are within 5 kilometers of a logging activity, you're supposed to get your SRA. Now, this SRA is for the development
What's
of the community.
SRA?
That's Social Responsibility Agreement.
Right.
And this comes from the logging company to the community. That is within 5 kilometers of logging operations. So when you get this benefit, you're supposed to go into developmental projects for the community. It's not for the chief, it's not for the assemblyman, it's not for any other prominent person in the community. So by giving the people this kind of education, they now start asking questions. So now they go to the district office. Okay, NDF came in and showed us that this is what, as a community, we are supposed to get. So we are here to make inquiries. Now they go through their laws. Oh, okay, you are within 5 kilometers of the logging operation, so you are entitled to this much amount of money. Now these are some of the ways that we have found to be enforcing the laws that we already have, and then ensuring that logging companies also adhere to what they are supposed to do.
You do know that there's been a lot of exposés, a lot of investigations. Some are stalled because people have used whatever powers they have at high levels to stop the high, powered investigations. I'm saying that, don't you believe that we need a more radical approach rather than monitoring, which of course has been there, because even tip-offs, you are using technology to boost these efforts, but tip-offs from people in the community have had. I mean, Rosewood is one of the issues. I have followed that story so much so that people have even lost their lives because they've tipped off. So my point is that, don't you think EU NSA should rather spend money in, because I find it, it's exciting, it would expose, but the final point of the chain is what I'm afraid of, where people get compromised.
So there's a security feature with our project, in that monitors are anonymous. So the anonymity is there, protecting the security of monitors.
Okay.
Likewise, the verifiers. Now, the end of the value chain is where I am excited about, in saying that now Forestry Commission has come on board. Before we even came in, and then during my interaction with most of the district managers, you realize that they also used to have these tip-offs from community members. What we are doing now is just adding a technology bit to it, and then increasing transparency.
I see.
Yes.
And that solves it.
That does most of it.
It does most of it.
It does most of
but
it.
not all. Anyway, let's look at the number of years this project is going to last, for which we can start evaluating. So we're starting in 2020, ending at some point, so that we look at the evaluation points. How many years are you looking at?
Well, the project started in 2017.
Okay.
We are ending in 2021. Now, what we are looking for, or what we are looking at, is expansion of our activities.
Okay.
And in other terms, what we call sustainability, as well as expanding to other areas of the country. Because for Nature and Development Foundation, we operate mainly in the Western North region, and then Chopping-Boss Ghana is in the Kintampo and Atebubu districts in the Ahafo region now. With expansion, we can increase to many other parts of the country, monitoring both the high forest zone and the savanna areas.
I see. So 2017, it ends next year. Okay, so it means there's been some achievements that we could talk about. Let's talk about that. So we see what we've been doing. Probably that will get to allay some of our fears and get some excitement in me, because I have a lot of fears. Forgive me. So let's talk about some achievements.
Achievements. So from the start of the project, we have had over 30 communities that have assessed SRA, ranging from 20,000 Ghana cedis and above. Now, here's a good thing. Before we came in, most communities had not heard of this social responsibility agreement, and most had not even assessed it for so many years. The community that was captured in the video, the Seshibedi community, the last time they had their SRA was 4 years ago, before we came in. Now, when we came in, they've assessed this 20,000, which they are using in the development of the clinic or CHIPS compound. There are so many other communities that have used their SRAs in developmental activities like schools. There's one in Abuaji Krom, which is an ICT center. After they were able to put up a school and other toilet facilities. There have also been cases where, due to the enlightenment and the capacity that the project has provided, most people now understand the processes that go into forest protection, forest management, which all feeds into what we call the FLECT REDD+ climate change bigger picture. Because then we are conserving our forest, we are increasing our carbon, and then we are contributing to protecting the environment.
I see. All right, so I want us to quickly, we'll come back to the SRAs, the Social Responsibility Agreement, and who still monitors this. I'm sure that's your end game, and so we can talk about it. Probably could open the eyes of some people, and then we see. But hey, we have Mustafa Saidu, Director for Nature and Development Foundation, joining us via Skype. All right, so welcome back, and sorry we had to go for that long break, but hey, we're still discussing issues of forestry, of course, forest protection, and how local communities are empowered to monitor illegalities in the forest. And we've been talking about some things that the CSOs, especially EU, NSA Ghana, has been doing, especially as far as monitoring is concerned. Mr. Mustafa Saidu, Director of Nature and Development Foundation, joins us via Skype. Hi, can you hear me, sir? Mr. Saidu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Very well. Thanks for joining us. And if you can hear me, it's a good thing. I've been speaking to Abner Dufie Wood about what you have been doing. I think it's exciting. But hey, let's start off with this. And I'm sure you've been monitoring the conversation. The Social Responsibility Agreement is an agreement that some logging firms have to go through. It's a legal obligation that they have to go through to ensure that not all is lost. They pay something small. Now, does it, having seen this, do you think that these agreements will impact it positively? Because I'm looking at the impact, negative impact that has been caused by these logging firms. Do you think that this is going to help us, especially these agreements?
Okay, so thank you for the question.
Mr. Saidu, if you can position the camera well, so we can see your face. Very well, very well, very well.
Okay, so my social security agreement is an additional benefit that the community gets. You will recall the Constitution, there is a benefit sharing arrangement of all royalties, including royalties from forests, where the district assembly in the forest is located gets about 55% of the royalties that are collected. That is supposed to be the royalties that the district assembly will use to develop the communities that are around the forest reserve in which a harvesting is taking place. The reasoning behind the social responsibility agreement is that you will know that, in this country we have a lot of land administration, local customary rights, and all those things. So it is possible that the district assembly, because they have a lot of communities and not only concentrating on communities that are near to the forest, maybe developing other communities without necessarily the money going to the community which is closer to the forest. So the essence is that if a community is close to the forest, and the range is about 5 kilometers from the forest reserve, and because we also say that communities close to the forest are the custodians of the forest, they need to have an extra benefit far and beyond what everybody will get through the district assembly. So the social responsibility agreement was designed so that companies will sign specific agreements with those communities that are closer to the forest in terms of developmental needs, amenities, and all those things.
Okay.
So that it motivates them enough to participate in the protection of the forest.
Okay. So I'm asking, how has the regime been like? Have we had some very great impacts? Or because, again, talking about the devastation vis-a-vis these agreements, one can only tell from outside that a lot is not happening.
Yeah, well, you can say that, but there are a lot of impact, positive impact the forestry companies have made. You know, there are good examples where forestry companies have been the sole industry in many communities. So, for example, if you go to Western North, the capital of Soshiwe Asu as the capital of Western North,
Right.
for a very long time, the Gleason Company Limited, which is now the John Bitter Company, has been the biggest industry, employing thousands of people there.
Right.
You also recall that a lot of the hinterlands, the roads going to those communities are opened by forest companies, by their own money. A lot of facility, community centers, a lot of electricity being posed, and all sorts of amenities being done by timber company. I'm not a spokesperson for timber companies,
I see.
but what we have seen from our project and in previous engagement is that there has been a lot of impact. In fact, we haven't done a study in terms of the negative impact and the positive impact. But from where I sit, I can say that, you know, there has been a lot of positive impact in terms of the contribution of timber companies and the forestry companies to the development of communities by way of the social responsibility agreement. Even before the introduction of the social responsibility agreement by the Timber Resource Management Act, timber companies were already doing a lot which were unquantified. But now because it's now a statutory requirement, they have no option but to comply with it.
I see. All right, let me come back to the studio here. And your colleague Abena is here with us. Now, you wanted to share with us, apart from the issues of the monitoring, you've been doing some other things. I mean, let's hear you on that.
Okay, so we conducted a study to look into bottlenecks preventing the supply of legal wood to the domestic market.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. Because of most illegal activities, you find that most of the wood on the domestic market come from illegal sources.
Okay.
Now, Mustafa was just talking about the SRA regime and how it all came about.
True.
What happens is with illegal loggers, they circumvent paying these SRAs and other taxes.
True.
So government is losing, communities are also losing. So in effect, the products come cheaper on the market. Any individual wanting to use wood would probably look at cost-benefit analysis and go for the cheaper one, most usually the illegal wood. Now you realize that these are all coming from the forests that are supposed to be protected. So one thing that the project did was to look into why these things are happening.
Right.
And then you realize that most of the results from the study actually come from the fact that, well, the logging companies have so many taxes to pay in addition to the SRA that at the end of the day their products come out higher than the illegal source. Then you also realize that, well, the guys are also saying we are unemployed, we don't have any job. I remember one thing that someone said to me in one of my community visits was that people living by the coast or by the sea get fish from the sea. So why can't those living in the forest and by the forest get their products from the forest? So they also jump in, they cut, and then they go sell and make their money. Then we also have another aspect of the project, which is looking at the public procurement policy on timber and timber products. This policy negotiations on it started way back, and then a memo was submitted to Cabinet, which had to come back for review and re-strategy to look at all the other strategies that together, collectively, can ensure that we have legal wood on the domestic market.
Okay.
Now, all these tie in with our activities of forest protection,
Right.
because where we can get employment
Right.
for the youth such that they are not cutting the trees, where we can build the capacity of communities and community monitors, where they report on infractions as they happen, and where we can get Forestry Commission on board, such that when the infractions are reported together, we go verify and then they take action on rectifying these alerts.
Right.
That is when we look at a collective sustainable forest management and ensuring transparency in the forest value chain.
I see. Right, so let me come back to you, Mr. Mustafa Saidu. Now, I hear this community monitoring started in 2017 and it ends next year, 2021. How far have we come, and whether or not, if we have lost it or we have not done so much, are we going to extend this or we jump onto something else as far as your outfit is concerned? I mean,
that's a good question. We know, this is like she said, it's a project. Project means that there's a fixed period that it must come to an end. But we also understand as NGO that one of the things to do and to have a lasting impact is continuity. So we've actually put in another application through collaboration with the University of Wolverhampton to NORAD. NORAD is Norwegian Development Authority. So hopefully if you get funding, it will be a continuation of what we've been doing. The good part is that, and I must say this, forest, we have to look at forest beyond the timber. I know that, for the ordinary Ghanaian and a lot of us who are not forestry professional, we see forest as where we get timber. But it's beyond that. In fact, if you care to know, almost all the water sources we have that originate within this country take their source from forest. All of them. There's a reasoning, and perhaps we should find out that if the forest is no longer there, will the water source still be there? Another reason, and I keep on giving the example, that we should see the forest beyond the timber because there's no cocoa coming from the northern part of Ghana. There's a reason to that. The reason is that the climate there does not support the cocoa. The climate in the south supports cocoa because of the forest. And that's why you won't even find cocoa growing in the coastal Accra Plains, even though it's in the southern part of Ghana. It's because coastal Accra Plain does not have forest. And then so many other things that we should look at. In fact, if you take off climate change, apart from the ocean, forest is the largest repository of carbon that we can't even quantify. Sometimes it's difficult for the ordinary person to relate to some of these issues. But I mean, in terms of what we are talking about and communities appreciating it, if they tell you, because they live close to the forest, they will tell you the changes they're experiencing. And for this project, one thing this project has come to do is to re-energize the communities to take part in protecting their forests. And by so introducing the technology that will make it easier. So I heard you ask Abena, why are we not participating in law enforcement? The role of law enforcement is a function of the executives. We as civil society organization are only complementary. What we're trying to do is to put evidence before the executive and say, these are the evidence of infractions. Go and enforce them. And those evidence of infractions are made accessible to anybody who wants to have them. So you don't have the question to say that we don't have evidence of this going on, or we don't know where the infraction is going on. If you take the example of Galamsey, it's like the communities reporting Galamsey and giving you a real-time information of where it is happening. So this project is using technology, an app called the Forest Link app, so that immediately a community sees the infraction and they send an alert. There's a GPS coordinate of where the alert is sent, which appears on the screen and a computer monitor. So if you have the access code, or if any Forestry Commission has the access code, they will see that, oh, there is ongoing illegality happening in, say, Bediako, in the Western region or that other community. So if they have their men around, they can easily dispatch them there. And because of the system is page on Google, you don't even need to know there before you can go there. All that you need to know is to enter the coordinate on your phone. And it will give you a Google direction there.
Can you hear me?
The project is just giving extra evidence of what's going on by way of forest infraction in the different locations.
Okay.
So that the Forest Commission will be able to apprehend whoever is perpetrating the illegality.
Okay. Mr. Mustafa Saidu, can you hear me? Mr. Saidu, can you hear me now? All right. Well, so I wanted to ask the issue of enforcement, back to that again. Now, look, let's not play the ostrich. We all know that the only thing we need to clamp down on these illegalities is the political will to say that we are not going to allow any infiltration. And you say that that solely lies with the executive. Now, my question to you is that you've done your work, you've monitored, and then you know that there are some people in high powers who are the ones engaged in this. We've seen exposés, we've seen reports, we've done our works here. Before I come to Abena here in the studio, again, how do we go past that? Or you are just going to do your work as a CSO, monitor, and give this information, and that's it?
Okay, so that's a good question. You know, I agree and I admit that one of the major problem we have is enforcement and the commitment to enforce. It is one of the reasons we are bringing the communities on board, because you and I may be sitting in Accra. I mean, the majority of the Forestry Commission, they are sitting far from the forest reserve, even though they have district offices. But the communities who are involved in this project are living close to the forest. So really, without the consent of the communities, it is very difficult for anybody to come from somewhere and enter the forest. You know, they will most likely apprehend you. So they are the first point of that enforcement. We know that, you know, in many instances, there are a few cases of, you know, people from authority, you know, want to downplay the effect of communities. You know, in the system, it's such that when there's overwhelming evidence, in fact, those people are even afraid to, you know, to do some of them. So the answer to your question is that there's no single way of enforcing the law. One of the things that, and I know a little bit of law, you can, if you try to enforce without the evidence, they will tell you that we don't have the evidence, so we can't even proceed. But when there's overwhelming evidence, even the prosecutor cannot say, I won't proceed, unless there's an entering of nolle prosequi. So we know that, you know, we want to help them to gather the evidence. We want to help them that at the community level, the communities will help to stop it. We also want to ensure that, you know, we give you and I the choice to be able to buy the legal material if we are mandated to do so. And that's why we are, Abena mentioned of the Public Procurement Act. Apart from it, we are also developing an app that will give you the locations and the prices of people who are selling legal timber around you. So that you, if you want to build your house, you don't just walk on the street, but if you are minded to buy legal timber, and based on education and the economic analysis, the benefit analysis, we only pray that you may choose to buy legal timber because of the long-term impact of it on all of us. And for government, Abena alluded to something that, you know, if you consider the fact that the illegal chainsaw operator does not pay tax to government, it does not think about the long-term sustainability of the resource, He does not think about the sustainability of the infrastructure you are putting in place. And so, as government, there's a lot of costs in the long term in buying illegal material than buying legal material, in terms of taxes, in terms of sustainable job, in terms of the infrastructure we are putting in place. So we think that, and in fact, it makes a public sense not to use public money to buy illegal material, because we cannot seem to be fighting illegality on the road, but turn around to buy illegal timber on the market. It's just a tacit endorsement of the illegality on the forest and on the road.
All right. Okay. I think that's well understood. Let's come back to studio, and Abena Dufie is still with us, and we've been discussing forest protection, how local communities can get involved and how they can be empowered to ensure that they clamp down on these illegalities. Now, my interest is, first of all, who can get these? I'm asking you two questions. The first one is, anybody in the forest, can they get the app? Is there an app? How do you do this? How do you get it to the people to report, or you go recruit and get them involved in these activities?
Okay, in the beginning of this project, we recruited, as you're saying, but what we actually did was talk with the community and say, guys, this is more of a volunteering work.
Right.
So if you're interested in protecting the forest, if you're interested in protecting your land, come join us and then let's do this fight together. So that is how we got them.
Okay.
But as we have progressed, what we're doing now is it also comes with knowing exactly what is an illegality and what to report.
Right.
So capacity building sessions have gone on. We've had more people come join. And so now, apart from the initial recruitment, we also have other people in the community who have expressed interest to join this fight.
Okay.
Now, this is an app. It's not available on Google Play Store yet. It was developed by Rainforest Foundation UK, called the Forest Link app, which feeds the real-time monitoring platform.
Right.
Now, because it's not available on Google Play yet, what we do is that we have provided the Android phones for the community monitors. And these phones were enabled with the app.
Okay.
For any other person that has been interested and has joined, I have personally uploaded for them.
So do you have people calling you? Could people still call you and say they want to join, they want to get on board, they want to help from the communities?
A lot.
Okay, before we do that, put your numbers out there or wherever we can contact you so that we get people really involved, so that I ask you the very final question.
Okay, I think on the video we had our contact number, so if you can just go out there, or I can also give mine.
Yeah, please
which
do.
is 020
80
99 775.
775. Let's go again.
020 80
Right.
99
Right.
775.
Okay. So for those of you who are interested, please call that number. Finally, would you want to give off evidence from this illegality to people? Because Mr. Mustafa talked about overwhelming evidence. Would you want to give it for enforcement if it's found?
Yes, in fact, that is what we are doing. Like Mustafa rightly explained, what we are doing is we are not just going empty-handed. We are not going witch hunting.
Okay.
We are not tagging. We are not finger pointing.
Right.
What we are doing is we are presenting overwhelming evidence to support the reality on the ground and what is happening.
Right.
We are providing so much evidence that you can't deny the reality of what is happening.
Right.
And like you rightly said, as a prosecutor, if you have A, B, C, D pointing to E,
Right.
I mean, there is no way you can go otherwise.
Okay.
In that case, where transparency is also involved, as in this project, then the people know where your allegiance lie and where they should also advise themselves on.
Thank you very much. And I want to say a very big thank you to Mustafa Seidu, Director for Nature and Development Foundation. Thank you very much for joining us via Skype. And of course to you, Abena Dufie Wood. She is Capacity Building Officer at EUNSA Ghana. We've been talking about forest protection and how we can empower people. The number to call again, 020 80 99 775. If you want this to stop, wherever you are, pick these numbers, call her, and let's clamp down. Then let's provide evidence so that probably people might not have alibis and excuse when it's time for prosecution. My name is Kokulumo. Conversations are coming up. We're talking about the